Hello! So, we are going to talk about tribute speeches or celebratory speaking. Something I want you to keep in mind is I feel like this is more common than a lot of people think as far as public speaking goes. You know, maybe you get asked to give a presentation at work every now and then, but someone's going to get married. Someone, is going to die, or there might be something that you want, someone's going to celebrate something and you want to honor them. So as we go through, I know this is a different type of speech, but these types of speeches and presentations are more common, and you want to be able to rise to the occasion if there is a tribute speech that you want to give or have to give, and be able to do it well. Okay. So let's talk about toasts. So a toast is basically you're giving a toast to someone. A wedding toast turned into a roast. I have heard that more times than I would like to say. It sadly is kind of common because, well, I don't know. You don't want it to be you're making constant jokes at the other person's expense. Okay, so just be mindful of that. There's usually kids present, so keep it appropriate. Roasts, those are more rare. If you've seen them on Comedy Central, they're hilarious. My favorite one is the Justin Bieber roast, and I don't even hate Justin Bieber. But humor is essential. Don't take it too far. Keep it short and end on a nice note. And if you're an Office fan like I am, you remember when they did the roast of Michael Scott and he got his feelings hurt because they didn't end on a nice note. It was just them venting how much, what they hate about him. Okay. All right. Tribute to colleagues. Keep it lighthearted and focus on positive qualities that will be missed. Pretty easy. Eulogy. Those can be pretty tricky, pretty tough. So the book talks about showing respect for everyone mourning the loss and provide a form of closure. Humor is fine, but it can be risky. So again, don't make jokes at the deceased's expense, but it's okay to, maybe be like, well, Grandpa never found a bowl of mac and cheese that he wouldn't eat or something, I don't know. Opening should capture attention and set the theme, just like everything else. The organizational pattern is usually narrative. Usually it is you telling their life story, kind of their, how they grew up, where they grew up, who they grew up with, stuff like that. Aim for emotional control. I know that's easier said than done, but you want to be able to get through it so people can hear what you prepared and what you have to say. If you do get emotional and can't control yourself, take a step back, pause, regain control, and then try to keep going. Be balanced and realistic in your praise. So I love that the book brought this up because I never really thought about that, but I feel like when people die, we are so grandiose about that person. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be, but for example, don't say things that don't fit. So at my funeral, if people say, not that I'll be there, well, depending what you believe, but we don't need to get into that. But it wouldn't be correct if people were like, she really lived life to the fullest. Kind of, I'm not saying but not really, because I don't, there's a lot of things that I don't do because I'm scared or what, if someone didn't like people, don't be like, they never met a stranger. What are you talking about? Okay. So, I think that's really important and really, because it's so disingenuous. Don't just say corny things that are nice to say about someone because you think it's what people want to hear, because it'll be more off-putting than it will be genuine and warmly welcomed by the members of not the member, what am I trying to say? Then I don't want to say the crowd, but then the audience. Tell what you will remember the most and will miss the most about the person, and then finish strong. So the Sarah example is just to remind me, be mindful. I know sometimes it can be hard and people die of different things, and I'm not saying that there's anything shameful, but people should never be, this should never be their response to a tribute speech in general, where they're looking at each other Like your audience should never be bonding over feeling uncomfortable or feeling surprised or anything else like that from what you have said. Okay. So there was a girl that my sister and I went to high school with. We went to a private high school. Don't judge me. My parents chose it for us. So our graduating class was like 250. And this girl was in my sister's graduating class. And I knew her just through my sister. And I did we went to the same community college. So I knew her because, not many people from my school went to community college. We were just some of the lucky ones. I'm just kidding. But she sadly suffered from bipolar disorder and she completed suicide. And so my sister and I went to her funeral, and the eulogy was just like almost creepy. I'm not kidding. In this case, the preacher, or I think it was at like a Methodist church, gave the eulogy, not a family member. And it was just like, y'all know I'm all about like, it is what it is. I'm not saying that it should be hush hush if someone dies by suicide and, let's act like that's not how they died. That's not what I'm saying. But he brought up that she like delved into and like struggled with substance abuse at one point. And it was just like very unsettling. It was literally my sister and I were sitting with a couple other girls that went to the high school that we went to. And we were like literally looking at each other like, oh my God. And then we got in the car after and we were like, that eulogy. And we were like, thank you. Did you think so too? So just be mindful. You can keep it real without bringing up the skeletons in their closet and bringing up what they struggled with. Like, I don't want my rock bottom to be mentioned at my funeral. It doesn't have to be all sunshine and rainbows, but so be mindful of that. Keep it real. That's fine. Y'all know I'm all about that, but just be mindful. People shouldn't be uncomfortable or like, wow, would they want, if they were here, would they want this shared? All right. So you can look at these. All right. Introduction of featured speakers. You want to create enthusiasm for the speaker, but remember you are not the main focus. Okay. Tell who you are if the audience does not know, but keep the attention on the speaker. But again, you still want to tell so that way they're not like, well, who's this person introducing them? Like, what do they have to do with anything? Provide the speaker's credibility, awards, titles, accomplishments, etc. End it with something like, please welcome, blah, blah, blah. Something that you can do if you want, even if you are hosting like a guest speaker and you're introducing them, you can always ask them to write an intro for themselves so that, you can be mindful, or even just ask them like, hey, is there anything you really want me to include when I introduce you? That way you can be mindful and give the introduction that they want. Speech is a presentation. So if you're presenting an award, provide the importance of the award. Also talk about what the award is. A lot of times it's named after someone. It's like, okay, cool. It's a random award, but what do you have to do? What do you have to portray to get nominated, let alone win the award? And then tell why the person has won the award. And then, this is kind of small, but I think it's helpful. Present the award with your left hand so you can shake their right hand. Speeches of acceptance, make it appreciative, genuine, and humble. That's, hopefully self-explanatory, but even if it is something small that you don't care about, still do that. Be humble, be grateful. It doesn't have to be a huge, long thing, but, be grateful. It feels good to be recognized, even if you get something like perfect attendance at work or something, and it's like, cool, well, whatever. All right. Commencement addresses, the main focus is to impart wisdom or inspire. You want to mix humor with sincerity, so it's okay to be funny, but just, don't make the whole thing a joke. Success will depend on the ability to put into language and really articulate the thoughts and emotions appropriate to the occasion. There are a ton of really good commencement addresses by famous people and people that aren't like super famous, but so if you want to see one, you can look that up. And then that is it. I know I went through that kind of quick, but again, I want to remind you that tribute speeches are really, really important. And, they might not get you the promotion, they might not, but they're more about personal relationships. And that might be the presentation that means the most, especially, with wedding toasts. That the example that I have on there, I have some that are like what not to do, what to do. And there's one where this guy is just like clearly belligerently drunk, clearly didn't prepare anything. And it's like uncomfortable. And some of you might think it's funny if you watch it. Some of you might be mortified, but either way, you know, I get, how do I say this? I get drinking too much. I get getting nervous and wanting some liquid courage, but that's not, you don't let it get to that point, because if they're your best man, maid of honor, or, you know, best girl, or, you know, whoever it is that you picked or that the bride or groom picked, that they picked them for a reason, because they mean the most to them, or they mean a lot to them. How often are you going to get celebrated besides your wedding? So keep that in mind. Yes, it may not get you the promotion. Yes, it might not get you a grade or get you, you know, whatever it may be. But tribute speeches are really about personal relationships, and you don't want to half-ass them. They deserve the same respect, as weird as that might sound, and preparation as any other presentation, because it means something to the person that you're tributing. So keep that in mind. Okay? I will talk to y'all soon.